Boeing is actually higher ahead of the bell after this narrower loss and lower cash burn than expected for Q1. Our Phil LeBeau is at the production facility in Renton and has a very special guest. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Carl. Dave Calhoun. Phil. Thank you for joining us this morning. You heard the setup there.
Yep.
Q1, big loss.
Yep.
Less than the street was expecting, but you still burned through $3.9 billion in cash.
Yep.
Is this the bottom in terms of free cash flow and how much you're going to be losing per quarter?
Yeah, I rather than address the bottom, this first half will be the result of a lot of dramatic actions that we've taken in this factory to slow things down, synchronize all of our work with the supply chain, eliminate large portions of traveled work that we did in our factory to take a non-conforming part from a supplier and turn it into a conforming part. So we've made some dramatic changes. We had stand downs. So the cost in the first half will be real, but then we'll get back in normal order as we get into the second half.
How much different is the process behind you right now than it was 60 days ago, specifically in terms of the fuselages that you're taking from Wichita from Spirit Aerosystems?
Yeah, it's dramatic. It's dramatic. So we took all of the inspection processes and the people doing those inspections, and then the people who are doing the rework embedded in these positions in the factory, and we moved it to Wichita. I give Pat Shanahan a lot of credit for saying, bring them down. Let's do it. So they are now embedded there. And for this, from that day forward, which was really March 1st, we will only accept, they will only ship a conforming fuselage, which means it comes in this door in near perfect shape, and then it moves through this factory at a much reduced cycle.
More than a few on Wall Street have said, look, you still have the target out there of $10 billion annual free cash flow by the end of 2026. Get rid of it. I have not come across one analyst who has said it's a smart thing to keep it out there. Why? You didn't reiterate this morning, but you're not taking it down. Why keep it?
Because I believe it. I just do. So this will cost us 6 months. That means in that 2-year window, it'll be 6 months later than whenever it was going to happen. I still believe it'll happen in that 2-year window. And by the way, this was never a heroic target. This was a target that we believe we could meet when this factory moves and 737s move and deliveries are done. So I'm still strongly believing it. And I actually believe that the work we're doing to eliminate travel work in these factories, to resynchronize with our supply chain, make it more probable, not less.
Jim, I know you have a question for Dave.
I wanted to know, obviously Steve Mollenkopf, fantastic guy from Qualcomm, working his round 24/7 trying to find a successor. How about Stephanie Pope? She's there. She's terrific. Maybe it's someone internal that you need because the problems are so complex?
You know, Jim, I happen to be a pretty strong believer in Stephanie's potential to run the company. We've invested a lot in Stephanie. You saw what she did with our services business for the last couple of years. We're at record margins. We're meeting our customers' demands. And she came in here and put both feet on the ground, and she's been out on that floor. It's a little bit of trial by fire on that front, which I am confident that she will work her way through and perform. And then, yeah, Steve still has a tough job. Steve will canvass the industry. Steve will canvass the CEO community. And Steve will get to know our company. He's already invested a lot of time and energy in getting to know our lead technical people. He's developing a real perspective, and he has time to do it. He has time to do it. So I'm quite optimistic about these outcomes, and I am quite optimistic about the performance that Stephanie Pope will bring to BCA.
Dave, next week marks the 60-day mark, if you will, for reporting back to the FAA saying, here's where we were in terms of fixing the problems that exist here on the 737 MAX line, and then 90 days at the end of May. By the end of May, do you expect the FAA to say, look, we are signing off on the changes that have been put in place here?
Yeah, so first of all, the review is going well in the sense that we're both approaching it business-like. We all want the same thing. We want a factory under control. We want a set of metrics that demonstrate it's under control month to month to month to month. And then we want compliance on the floor. Are your tools in the right place? Are the instructions set up the way they're supposed to be? We want that to be as perfect as it can be. Easily measurable, and I think at the end of 90 days, they will simply say, we agree with this control plan, we will measure it, and you will have to demonstrate performance every step of the way.
You've seen the metrics already, so you know some of these numbers. Percentage-wise, how many fewer problems are you seeing, let's say, this week than you saw 2 months ago?
Well, if I pick that one part that we talked about, the fuselage, the incoming, reduce our nonconformance load about 80%.
So you've got 80% fewer nonconformance problems with the fuselages coming in from Wichita than 2 months ago.
Yes.
So as you look at this, is this the low in terms of max production? Because so many analysts are out there saying, look, these guys are going to be back up.
And it's more about whether it's a low or not. It is wildly sporadic because, again, we're trying to sync up our supply chain. This will begin to steady as we get through the second quarter, and then it will be all about how many perfect fuselages do we get from Spirit. That will be the constraint, and that will be the opportunity. I'm confident we'll get there.
You saw the whistleblower hearings last week in D.C. Not sure if you watched them or not, but you saw that it was going on.
Yep.
You know the commentary that's coming out of Capitol Hill.
Yep.
How often are you in touch with senators? Separate from any discussions about a hearing and testifying, how often are you talking with them?
Well, you'll probably remember, I think the second week after the Alaska accident, I went and visited with a whole bunch. I've been in regular contact. Every week, we tee up one or two conversations so I can bring them up to date on everything we're discussing. The NTSB investigation, the FAA work, our determination to see the Spirit work through, our willingness to slow down the factory to get things under control and synchronized with that supply chain. I walk them through all of that. They're very appreciative of the conversation. I don't want anybody surprised. And so I'm doing my very best to, one, always be responsible, and two, always be transparent.